So the Indiana Fever team have appeared at an NBA playoff game. They did the same thing last year, but this time they are here. And it is the entire team. And I mean, there's a little bit more hype this year because, let's be real, last year there was a little bit of hype for the Fever team, but it was really more so because of Caitlin Clark. This year there is more hype for the Fever team. And honestly, when it comes to the casual fans, it's probably Clark Mitchell Boston, realistically. But at the same time, there's going to be hype for some players for Fever fans. And it is interesting because with the way that Indiana treats the Fever, they're the only city that treats them like a 1A, 1B. Like, as much as the Liberty are a big team, they're not the Knicks. The Liberty might be seen as similar enough to the Nets. That's the thing, but the Nets aren't the Knicks. Well, you know that. No matter how good the Nets are, they're still not the Knicks. Any other teams, obviously the Sparks are the Sparks. You know what? With the way the Dallas Mavericks are, they finally have a player they have a star that Nico Harrison can't trade. Nico Harrison can't trade Paige Beckers. And I mean, Nico Harrison, just based on, and I'm not going to accuse Nico Harrison of anything, but just based on looking at Paige Beckers based on every move he's made for the Dallas Mavericks, the first thing he would do is trade Paige Beckers. But, yeah, that is obviously a crazy statement to make, but that's just a joke based on coincidence, not accusing Nico Harrison of anything there. But the thing is with this, the Fever players are back. And obviously, look, this is recording this video with this tweet's only just come out. And I didn't even notice it when I was playing Spot the Fever. I did not even notice it playing Spot the Fever. But obviously there's Kelsey Mitchell, but Yvonne Ejim's there. Michaela Timpson's there. Obviously DeWanna Bonner is there. So all of these players are players that, like, we haven't seen everything happen. We haven't seen anything happen with Michaela Timpson. Obviously Yvonne Ejim came earlier today. I'm guessing maybe they didn't want to put in all the rookies, or maybe she just arrived later and they couldn't get the video out in time for the workday. Maybe she just arrived later. But I'm guessing there's going to be a Michaela Timpson arrival video as well as a Julia Lane video. But if you saw as well, they're the two players right there. It's the two players there that have arrived. That is a big thing. As well as that, as expected, well, you can see Natasha Howard, but Bree Hall is very, very similarly probably to Caitlin Clark at the All-Star game, when realistically Caitlin was just attached to the hip to Aaliyah Boston. Bree Hall and Aaliyah Boston being extremely close from their days at South Carolina. Bree Hall around Aaliyah Boston, and it is good for Bree Hall that obviously there's somebody on the team that she's comfortable with. And again, do I think she makes the roster initially? No, but do I think there's a chance she makes the roster at any stage? Possibly. There is a good chance of that, to be fair. Genuinely is a good chance. It'll be interesting to see what happens in that, but no, there is a legitimate chance that Bree Hall is on the Indiana Fever team at some stage. But with all the players there, it is so important for the Fever. And I've talked about this in plenty of other videos, but regardless of who makes the teams, like Julia Lane was the top scorer in the Turkish league. And again, this is at a bit of an angle. She does look a little bit short for a true power forward. But like, she was exceptional in Turkey, albeit like on a bad team, and especially in overseas leagues. I would assume maybe it's something like similar to college, but the good stats on bad teams is like so common when it comes to overseas leagues. Like these players are everywhere, and it's like, as somebody that does coach in like low level, like, I mean, Turkish Women's League, the highest of the high outside WNBA, like someone who coaches at like in one of the lowest of the lower levels of pro ball, like there are so many guys that would be balling out for the worst teams in the league, and then the next season a top team in the league or a team in the league higher recruits them because they put up huge stats and then they average 2 points per game. Or the opposite happens. There's guys that are in the top league or on a top team and their stats are really poor, and they end up kind of trying to hang on. They take a bad deal on a lower team and suddenly they're 20 point per game scores. So it'd be interesting to see how she gets on, how Elaine gets on in preseason. But I did think she was going to make the team over whatever rookie they brought in. But I do think Michaela Timpson might be an exception to that rule. But either way, regardless of who they bring in, regardless of which of the players makes the last roster spot, it's gonna be good that whoever it is familiar with the team, and also for whoever it isn't, you might need to sign them on a hardship. Like the Fever might need to sign Gillian Lane on a hardship. If the Fever cut Michaela Timpson, albeit unlikely, they might need to sign her on a hardship if she doesn't get picked up. They're not. I just genuinely don't think it's gonna be. She's not gonna make the team. Same with Bree Hall. If she doesn't get picked up, they might either have to sign. Or sorry, even in Timpson's case, or in any other cases, they might end up having to signing on a prorated rookie deal. So the only rookie that does not seem to be there, well, not rookie, new player that does not seem to be there is Jaylen Brown. I'm assuming she's still playing in Turkey. So not Turkey, Jesus, Russia. She's been very poor in Russia, but I would assume she's still there. But like, of all the players, I give her and Yvonne Ejim the same chance of making the team. I give Jaylen Brown and Ejim the exact same chance, which is almost zero. Almost zero. I'm not going to go full zero, but I'll go almost zero. I'll genuinely go almost 0% for the chance of either of those two making the team. I would say there is a 85% chance it's Michaela Timpson, a 10% chance that the last spot goes to Bree Hall, and a 5% chance it goes to Gillian Lane. That is what my predictions would be. But either way, regardless, it's still a memory that all these players won't forget. And for the fans there, obviously, I do think there's a big crossover between the Pacers and the Fever fans, because Indiana is a big sports state. Indianapolis is the city. Indianapolis is a big sports city, and Indiana as a city are trying to be like the city of women's sports. That's something that they're trying to actively go out and do. So with that being said, what better way is there to do that than have the most popular women's sports team in the world? That is the Indiana Fever. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Like, there are more popular female sports athletes in the world than Caitlin Clark. Very few, but there are. Obviously, prime Serena Williams, maybe not Serena Williams right now, but Serena Williams is more known, obviously. Simone Biles, and that actually might be. The list might go as far as 2, and maybe you can look back on tennis players from 30 years ago. Maybe Navratilova, if you surveyed everyone in the world, might be more known, but I don't even know if that's the case. Maybe Serena Williams is the only one that might be more known than Caitlin Clark worldwide, but and then the Fever obviously are the most supported women's sports team by 100 miles. Like, there's not one, unless you take into account like de facto supporting, that Barcelona men's supporters might be de facto supporters of their women team, like actually active supporters, because nobody outside of stateside really is watching the NWSL. And honestly, even in America, there's no one even close to watching the NWSL as much as this Indiana Fever team. So yeah, that is the video. Obviously, the two of the 3 remaining rookies have arrived. Maybe they arrived a little bit late. I'm not entirely sure. And this is going to be a great experience. So anyway, that is the video. Obviously, this video is being uploaded way after I record it, purely because, well, I just want to sleep. And this video will be out a couple of hours before I start streaming. But anyway, I'll see you guys.